A man of power?
A man of style.
What's this, the Clown Prince?
My Uncle Ashton died 3 different ways depending on who told the story. Did he fall off a train? Did he have a heart attack? Or was it the boxing that was somehow to blame? Today, my grandson Luke is here to help me look for the truth and maybe turn it into a comic book that a kid could actually relate to. We've got some source documents, we've got news articles, and we've put them all into NotebookLM.
You used to play football?
Yeah, a long time ago.
But do you like lacrosse better?
Yeah.
There was a boy from Norfolk town, no mama and no pa. He lived with his good sister and he didn't mind the law.
Why?
More skillful and like not just like whack people with sticks.
Liberating tires, boys, and staying out of sight.
Do you think sports runs in the family, or?
No.
My dad was like the scrawniest, youngest kid in the family, but his older brother, my Uncle Ashton, he was actually a boxer. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Let's give him a show!
Tex Carver, well, there he goes.
Ashton Carver and Richard Carey, both 17, confessed
Ashton
to nearly
Carver,
2 years
23 of
petty
Norfolk,
theft.
was arrested
Carver left
Tuesday
town
evening.
and told the officers he would get out of the state.
Can you
stay
read that
out.
headline there?
Police say 2 youths confess petty thievery.
They've been stripping autos for parts and selling them, and they finally got caught. So they went to juvenile court, and it looks like it says there was an arrangement made. So what do you think that means?
Probably like snitched on the other people doing the same thing.
Police John Pofall announced Friday that Ashton Carver had been
Expected
released.
to release Richard Carey under the same arrangement.
He knew 12 ways to Dallas and he loved that Texas ride. He may not win them all.
Hey, NotebookLM, give me a timeline of Uncle Ashton's life up through 1934. When he was young, the family called him Toots, and before Toots became Tex, he had some tough times. In 1918, he caught typhoid fever. In 1926, he got caught fighting for the entertainment of the patrons of Haas Pool Hall. And in 1927, he caught his overalls on fire trying to cook dinner. Things just go downhill from there. He steals tires, he steals an overcoat, he steals a pistol.
Uncle Ashton, seriously?
Local authorities let the boys go. Ashton says that he is leaving the state and staying out. And just like that, he's gone. For 2 years, he disappears from Nebraska entirely.
He got that nickname of Tex because he'd go back and forth between Norfolk and Dallas, Texas, and he'd ride the rails. You know what that is?
Like boxcars?
My dad always said Ashton bragged he knew a dozen different ways to get to Dallas, and I suspect that's where he went. Then in 1932, he's back, and the paper announces his introduction to local fans as a boxer.
You're listening to Voice of the Street over station WJAG. And today's question is...
Who started the Spanish-American War? I don't know who started it, but I'm fighting Miller at Wynn's side tonight. I hear he's good. I like him tough.
At 150 pounds, I'm guessing he was a welterweight. It seems he wasn't the best fighter on the card. He lost to Fritz Engel in March of 1933, and afterwards he told folks the reason he lost was that he was just afraid to let go. A rematch was planned. It says here in his funeral notice that he was known for his colorful scrapping and really popular for that. What do you think that would be?
Trash talking?
What do you think would be like that today?
Like football plays? Like some football plays?
Like who?
George Pickens or like DK Metcalf. They get in a lot of fights and they taunt people too.
May not win them all, folks, but he'll put on quite a show. Battling Tex Carver, well, there he goes.
Now, boxing wasn't his main job. It was just a side gig, and it looks like his main work ran out because in January of '34, he headed back to Dallas to secure work there. A few weeks later, the family got a telegram saying that Ashton was dead, but the wording on that telegram must not have been very clear. My dad always thought that he fell off of a boxcar on his way to Dallas. Aunt Sina told the papers that she heard he had a heart attack, and Uncle Bob was always pretty sure the boxing had something to do with his death, but I have a record none of them had. Before I show you what that record said, I want to show you the story of Ashton that Luke and I decided to tell.
How do you think Uncle Ashton would want to be remembered?
As battling Tex Carver in Norfolk's Pride.
Whoa, Tex Carver!
So we want to make a comic book, but there's still just one small problem. I don't know anything about comic books. NotebookLM has this option called Slide Deck. So I thought maybe we could make one there, but what goes in it? How many words? How many, well, what are those called? Panels? I thought, well, I'll just go to the instructions and say, make this story into a comic book. It's 1932. Ashton's in the kitchen with his sister, Sinabelle. She feeds him breakfast. Later, he's at his boxing match. There's a crowd. He entertains them with a mighty punch and maybe a wink. Sina meets him outside. He remembers his former life of crime and thinks about how things have changed, and then they go home. And I thought, let's just press the button and see what it does.
Any boxcar, any track. The only thing that puzzled us is why I kept coming back.
Now, what do you think of this?
Ashton looks old. And did they include every fact from every newspaper article?
This is not what we want, but it is great to have a starting point. It's a lot easier than looking at an empty page and then trying to decide what to put there. I think we're looking for something more like a kid's picture book. Less violence, fewer details, full-page pictures, and it would be great if Ashton and Sina look the same from page to page. I think that's called character consistency. So I did some research to see what people online are doing with comic books, and here's what I found. In some image generators, you can upload reference images and say, make my character look just like this. Luke's sister and I played with that in a recent video, but NotebookLM is much better with pictures of documents than pictures of people. So it can pull a date of death from a death certificate, but that's just not the same as saying, make Ashton look like the guy in this picture. Without reference images, it makes sense to describe my characters in detail on every slide or panel where they appear. The age, the clothing, the hair, you get the idea. But here's my next question. I have my little story. It's 1932, Ashton's in the kitchen and so forth. But how do I split that up into separate slides? And what do I need for instructions? One of the online resources I found is an educator named Eric Curts over at the Control-Alt-Achieve website. And he created this really great resource. I'll put a link down in the show notes. He says to include shot type, like, close-up or wide shot, visual descriptions, a caption if there is one, and notes about the style if needed. That would be like Silver Age comic book, that kind of thing. He has a special prompt in Gemini to help format these, but for my little exercise, I thought, well, why not just have NotebookLM do it for me? So I told it to take my little story and create a slideshow plan with 12 slide descriptions formatted the way Eric recommends. His instructions say to take the slideshow plan, open a brand new notebook, attach it as the only source, and then in the slide deck instructions, tell it to make a graphic novel based on that source. So I did. And then I played with it for a while because some things didn't turn out quite as I expected.
Is her head detached and just sitting on the table?
Yeah, and this big guy?
Like the Incredible Hulk or something.
As I experimented, I learned that certain prompts are more confusing to the image generator than others. For instance, I first had text stepping through the ropes into the ring, but the image generator had a real tough time with that. I pasted the image into Gemini and said, here's the prompt I used in NotebookLM. Here's the output I got. What should I do to make this better? And it gave me ideas.
Let's see that final set of slides. A man of power? What's this, the Clown Prince?
Well, he was always like trash talking and winking at the crowd and stuff, right? So doesn't that work?
Sure.
Here she is in the kitchen.
Oh good, her head is attached now. These are pretty good, really. Sometimes Ashton's hair is brown and sometimes it's black.
Well, we can change that. You click on this thing that says Generate Revised Deck, and hopefully that'll make his hair brown.
Tex, battling Tex, Norfolk shining pride. He knew 12 ways to Dallas and he loved that Texas ride.
In real life, I'm sure Ashton and Sina didn't look like comic book heroes. And we don't really know if she came to his boxing matches or not, but if we were to consult with Ashton about how he would like to be remembered, I think this works. And despite the family lore, I don't blame the boxing for Ashton's death. I actually think maybe it gave him purpose, because when the news headlines started talking about Norfolk's pride, they stopped mentioning a life of petty crime. And I found something none of his siblings had: Ashton's death certificate, signed by a doctor in a Dallas hospital. He checked into the hospital on January 17. 2 days later, he was gone. The cause of death? Not a fall from a train, not a heart attack. It doesn't mention boxing, but it does say that he had pneumonia. He got sick at the height of his boxing career, but for a time he got to be Tex and get his name in the newspaper under titles like Norfolk's Pride, and now he's a comic book hero. And what about his nephew Richard?
He got married and then he went to World War II and he actually died in North Africa. We don't have a picture of Uncle Ashton, but here's Richard.
So when I look back at that old news headline now, I don't just see two boys in trouble. I see two unfinished lives. One became Norfolk's pride, and the other died serving his country. And both deserve more than the very worst sentence anyone ever printed about them in the newspaper. I'm Nancy from Legacy Carvers. If you missed the first video in the series, I'll put a link down in the comments. And if you try making a slideshow with NotebookLM, remember, create a plan for your slides before you start. Describe your characters on every slide to keep them consistent. And when you wonder how to do something, ask your favorite AI and see what it comes up with. And by all means, go check out the Control-Alt-Achieve website. You're going to like it.
What was your favorite comic as a kid?
I think it was Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Casper?
Maybe he'd have a signature move, like maybe the Carver Crunch. What do you think? What would a signature move be?
Like the text takedown?
The text takedown. I like that.
Battling text, Norfolk shining pride. He knew 12 ways to Dallas and he loved that Texas ride. He may not win them all, folks,
Tex
but
Carver,
he put
Norfolk's
on
pride.
the show.
A man of power and style, the clown prince of the ring.
Battling Tex Carver. Well,